Welcome back to the Morning Cuppa podcast, and this is Alan. Today, I'm joined by Lina of Truckalina fame. Lina and I take a journey through time from the aha moment, the moment she realised she wanted to become a truck driver, all the way through to some of the really cool things and places she gets up to now. That includes Formula 1, travelling all over Europe, not to mention documenting it all on her YouTube channel. We also dive into the importance of ongoing training and how a supportive employer can make all the difference. Speaking of being a supportive manager, are you a transport manager looking to take your career to the next level? Then you definitely need to check out the Transport Managers Collective, the #1 digital community specifically aimed at transport managers wanting to improve safety and compliance of their fleets. So yeah, go ahead and check it out in the links below. Anyway, that's enough from me. Let's jump into the show. Welcome everyone to this new edition of the Morning Cuppa podcast. I'm joined by Lina today. So hello Lina, how you doing?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing?
Thank you very much for joining us on the pod. For our listeners, we've had about 17 different takes to get this started. We've gone all the way around Lina's house trying to find signal and Wi-Fi and audio. So hopefully this one holds up and it doesn't sound too clipped together. We'll try and do this in one take with not too much editing. So yeah, let's just jump straight in. So we were just talking before I hit record about what you were doing at the moment. Do you want to give kind of our audience a bit of background about who you are, where you've come from, and how you got into driving, really?
Yeah. Basically, when I was a teenager, I had to go to school in Hungary, and I chose agriculture machinery, which basically gave me some kind of idea of big machinery, how to drive them, and the smell of oil, the smell of diesel. So it got
Nice.
into me very, very early age. But then I got busy with the kids and starting family, so I didn't pursue my dream. But when my kids grew up, I thought I can start. So
Yep.
Basically, I had an aha moment, basically. When I realized I can.
So what were you doing before you had that aha moment? What was your kind of career trajectory at that point?
I was a carer, doing elderly care. I was driving.
It's a bit of a shift, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened what was the actual aha moment? Was it just because you were driving between villages and you went, I could get paid to do this bit, or what happened?
Basically what it happened, I was driving, it was summertime, really nice day. I had a convertible, the roof down, and then a road diversion came. So I had to leave the main road to a dirt road, basically. And I was driving on the dirt road, rooftop down. I had music on. I was really enjoying myself because I love driving anyway. And there is a massive lorry came just on this, just across to me, like on the road. I said, oh my God, how am I going to manage to squeeze through? And then I tried to pull on the side, and then the lorry tried to pull on the side. And then I looked up from my open rooftop to the driver that if we can, pass each other. And it was a beautiful girl driving the lorry. And she had the window down, she had the music on, and she was like, I could tell that she's enjoying what she's doing. And I looked up and I said, oh my God, I could do this.
So it was actually seeing another woman driving that kind of gave you that, oh, I could do this moment.
Exactly, yeah. And then same day I went home and applied online for all the, what I needed, all the forms and everything, my provisional license, and that's how it started. Nice.
Okay, that's a really you don't always get a specific moment when someone decides they're going to do a thing. I think that's most of the people I've spoken to in the last year on the podcast have all been like, oh, but my family did it, so it was obvious I was going to go in and do it. That was a real kind of specific moment when you saw it. So how long did it take you from that moment before you got your license and you're on the road doing your dream of driving a HGV?
Yeah, it was a couple of years because I was, quite low paid. As you know, carers don't get paid very well. So
yeah.
And I was a single mom, 3 kids, a dog and the cat and the house and everything. So basically, I could save
Yeah.
£100 a month for towards my license. I've done my tests, like the theory test, one by one, because that's how
Yeah.
I could afford. And yeah, it took me a few years.
You got there, and so what was? Excuse me. So obviously, you kind of got your license. Who was the first company you drove for? What was your introduction to the real world of HGV driving?
Yeah, I had my license, I think it was July, and my first job came in, I think it was August or something. I signed up with an agency, and they put me on double drives to do new lock shops deliveries.
Okay.
The company called Clipper, and they are quite local to me. It's like 5 minutes drive, but it was a
Nice.
really
Yeah.
good start because I was with other guys. They tried to guide me. It was really, really hard work.
How did the other guys find having a girl come in, like a woman come into driving with them? Were they supportive, or were they a bit like, oh, what are you doing here?
Uh, some of them were happy to have me and teach me, and just as a company, because you spend 20 hours with some a stranger in the cab. You have to kind of make a conversation.
Yes.
Some of them was quite ignorant and didn't understand why I want to do this.
Yeah, I think that was only 4 or 5 years ago. There's still an awful lot that has to be done to. I say the only reason well, maybe there would have been another aha moment, but your aha moment was seeing another girl doing it, and that was what gave you the confidence to do it. And it's still a very small proportion of women who actually do drive. It is bigger now than it has ever been, but I still think there needs to be more women in. There's no reason why women can't do it. And as obviously you prove, you're more than capable of doing it. Gender has nothing to do with it. So I guess you started working at Clipper. Was that you said it was via an agency? How long were you there for?
Because it was class 2 driving, the rigid ones. I wanted to work towards doing my class 1. Because at that time I had to do class 2 first, and then later on class 1 second. So basically I worked for them 3 months, and in that 3 months actually I could save up for my class 1, which tells you how much better the pay is doing driving than doing care, because with care I was working for care, it took me like years to save up the same amount of money, and then in 3 months I could save up for class 1 just doing driving.
Yes, yeah, it's a lot of people say it's not very well paid. A lot of people want more, and I mean, depending on when we actually air this podcast, I mean, obviously we've just been through December where there's been dozens of strikes across various industries. Yes, pay is not brilliant, but as when you put care next to driving, they're worlds apart in terms of how much you actually get paid. So yes, no, I can understand why that was easier. So what did you do after? So I'm guessing you then did your class 1 while you were working, or did you take time off, or what?
Yeah, I had a week off because you need 5 days on the road driving, the Arctic. So, and I passed it for first. However, I was struggling with class 2. I failed, I think, 4 times because of reversing. But I've done class 1 for first.
Okay.
Just 3 months later.
Nice.
So in November, I had my class 1.
Cool. That was a pretty good turnaround time. So, what did you then move on from Clipper, or did you say were there opportunities for class 1 work there, or did you move on?
Well, I told them that I've got my class 1 now, and they can put me on class 1 work if they want to, but they didn't want to.
Fair enough. Why was that? Was it lack of experience, or they didn't have any vacancies, or what?
I think it was more like they were a bit, I'm not saying scared of me or something, but they didn't trust me probably, or I don't know. I didn't ask.
Did you move on from there at that point? Did you go and find work elsewhere then?
Finally, after Christmas. So basically I had my license in November, so I spent a full month doing still class 2. But after Christmas, they offered me Class 1 work, which I was really happy to do.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I made a major mistake on the yard, so they banned me from the site.
Do you care to elaborate, or do you not want to share that? What did you do? What did you do?
Well, I lost the trailer while on the go.
So was that in the yard, or?
Yeah, I was just pulling off the bay, and I didn't put the trailer on properly, so I lost the trailer. Because at that time when you had the test, they didn't teach you anything about basically the equipment of the truck. You do forward driving, you drive safe on the road, and that's it. Coupling up the trailer, but only in a set position.
Yeah.
So if the trailer is a little bit down or up, you don't know what to do basically. And my trailer was too high up on the bay, and when I reversed it under, I missed the pin, which I never noticed because I had no idea, how to use the suspension. Nobody ever told me, and I didn't actually know. So I missed the pin.
I think that's, I think that's really that's actually really harsh. I mean, it's obviously very dangerous. Like, clearly it shouldn't happen, but it was this all with Clipper at the time. This is all with the same company. So obviously you did your Class 2, you worked with them. They knew you were newly qualified Class 1. They put you on to Class 1. Did they give you any sort of support and training on the vehicles? Did they do any kind of, did the transport manager come out and talk through kind of all these important things or not? Did they just assume you knew it?
Yeah. You've got your license. You should basically do it. You should basically know. But in reality, you don't know.
But as you say, in reality, the license doesn't actually teach you how to like coupling and uncoupling in weird and wonderful positions. I think that's a really unfortunate, really unfair situation. I mean, obviously it's dangerous. It needs to be sorted, but I would argue that was very much down to the transport management and compliance team to make sure you were properly trained and inducted onto that. Because, like, did you have any induction on those vehicles, or was it just like, here you go, here are the keys, off you go, sort of thing?
No, basically, and I'm pretty sure you've seen a truck before. Inside there is millions of buttons, doing all sorts of things like traction control and the suspension, and oh my god, like so many different buttons. And when you sit in, you don't know. It's like you sit in a new car and you try to figure it out. What's what? What button? If you press something, what's gonna happen? And on the truck, they're like quite important buttons, and you don't know.
Yeah. I think it's a good point for. I mean, a lot of our audience are operators and compliance managers and directors of small haulage firms rather than drivers, and I think this highlights a really good point that just because someone's got a license, especially if they're newly qualified, they're probably very, very competent at their job, but there are things they don't know because a lot of drivers, and I'm sure you've come across them, they're long in the tooth, they're old, or they're older, they're male, they're quite like stuck in their ways. They're like, oh, I've got 30 years experience. If you don't know it, I know how this works, and you need to know. You can't have the experience without having 30 years experience. It's like, well, teach people then, help people. Exactly. So I think it's important that new drivers are supported. So what happened after this happened? Did you get banned on Class 1, or just completely banned for the yard, or what was the next thing that happened after that?
I haven't done any damage, so it wasn't like, that bad, but they banned me from the site, so I never could go back for work there. So I started to look for another job. I had faith in myself.
Well, you're not going to make that mistake again, are you? So.
No, you don't. So I started to look for another jobs and applied lots of different companies, and Stobart was the one who I liked, and they responded for my application. They invited me for an interview. They took me out on a road test, and then eventually I got employed by Stobart.
So was that through an agency or directly with Stobart then?
Directly.
Yeah. So how was that?
On the test drive, I was doing very well driving forward, but reversing, I couldn't reverse. It's the same thing, they teach you how to drive and how to reverse on a certain, like an S-line back on the bay basically, to do the test, but it doesn't mean that you know how to reverse.
Yeah.
So I couldn't reverse basically, but they said that they're going to give me a training, Stobart. So when I started, I had 3 days going back way on the yard.
Okay,
Can you imagine?
just 3 days driving backwards.
Yeah, it's like in shape of 8, I was driving back way 3 days on the yard just to learn to drive back way and reverse.
Did it work? Did it help?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah,
it's really efficient.
So it was 3 days that Stobart's had to invest in you to get you there, but obviously for a lot, as you say, for a newly qualified driver, it's how do you get that experience? Someone has to take a little bit of a punt with you and take a bit of faith and actually work on you. And I think Stobart's gets battered a lot especially on social media, around how they treat their drivers, but that's an example of them doing a good job. So what happened off there? Did you then sort of go straight into working with them, or what happened next?
I had 3 days classroom training as well, but everybody else has to have it. So like taco rules and everything they covered. And then I had a mentor for 2 weeks, Kevin and Gaz.
Was it another driver then?
Yes, yeah, they were on 2 other drivers, Gaz and Kevin. Basically, they came out on the road with me to work from morning to evening, and they told me everything I should know. It was a really, really, really good training.
So it sounds really good. I must say, I've not really spoken to anyone that's worked at Stobart's or is involved with Stobart's. A lot of the people we speak to, or I've spoken to, have been small operators, like 10 trucks. So don't quite swim in the same circles. But that sounds like a really positive sort of first month. Obviously, training, classroom training, mentorship. It kind of gives you like some real confidence that you can do your job properly.
Yes, they made sure that I'm ready for doing it on my own. I always felt like somebody is behind my back if I needed help, and there was always somebody at the end of the phone if I needed anything to ask. They were patient with me. I've made some mistakes again, because you keep doing mistakes when you're. So I had to have a.
It's the only way. It's the only way you learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said it was Gaz and Kevin. Were you still in touch with them beyond your first 2 weeks? Did they did you have them on the end of the phone if you needed them at all, or were they kind of at the end of the induction they were gone sort of thing?
No, they are actually still there.
Nice.
So actually, they are still there.
Do you still talk to them?
I think Kevin followed me on Facebook. I can see his likes on my post. He said he's very proud of me, what I achieved and how far I come.
Well, exactly. I think it takes a special sort of someone to be a mentor, and they're very proud of their mentees, their trainees. So I think that's nice. That's nice. Psst, Alan here. Just a quick introduction to the show quickly. I just want to let you guys know of a brand new product that I am super proud that we've launched over the last couple of months. The Transport Managers Collective, or TMC for short, is a digital community of TMs to share best practice and ultimately improve safety and compliance on our roads. Not only that, it's been designed to foster close, meaningful connections with other like-minded individuals to help improve your own mental health and reduce that sense of isolation that many TMs face in their professional roles. As I said, I'm super proud of this community. So do go check it out by going to www.tmcollective.co.uk and use the code FREETRIAL to get your first month free. Anyway, that's enough from me. Now back to, me. So how long were you at Stobart's for then?
Over 4 years, basically. I just ended my contract with them a few months ago. Like I'd gone down to 0
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I've gone down to 0 hour contract with them when I started to be self-employed, just to cover my back. If anything happens, I can still go back.
Yeah. So when did you kind of start dropping down the hours at Stobart's and start building up your self-employed sort of portfolio?
that's another story. It's about Formula One jobs because I really wanted to do the Formula One jobs, and Stobart got three three teams to cover: FIA, Mercedes, and Williams Racing.
Nice.
And I wanted to do those jobs, working for them, the special operations at Stobart. And actually, they got they put me on 1 year. I can't remember. Was it 2017? But I made a mistake, and they just fired me.
Fair enough.
After a month with them. So I really wanted to get back on Formula One, but not with them, but with another agent. But I would need to be self-employed to be able to invoice. So I said to my boss that, look, I'm going to leave because I need to be self-employed. And he says, oh, you don't need to leave because we can put you on 0-hour contract, and then you can be a self-employed person as well.
Okay. So when did that happen then? Was that recently? Was that
last summer? Not this summer, but before summer. I think it was June, July, when I started to drive for the Formula One teams.
So what? I mean, how was that? Was that as exciting as it sounds, or was it not as exciting?
It's like a rat race, You have to push it really hard to get down to another racing circuit. So
was it moving the teams from like circuit to circuit? Was that the job then?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I worked for an agent called Race Team, so Race Car INC. Yeah, Race Car INC. Again, we used to be flied out to the circuit, which is finished the race, the Formula One race.
Yeah.
And pick up the trucks. They were already loaded, strapped up, everything. So just had a quick check around, and then off we went to the next destination. It's called back-to-back driving. So
literally it is the vehicles moving 24 hours, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much. Any interesting stories from that? Any kind of touch and go? Anything that you weren't quite going to make it, or was it all pretty plain sailing?
Lots of damages, not by me, but when you have a kind of 20, 40, 50 trucks on the go, driven by British drivers who's don't really driven in Europe yet,
Yeah.
Because you have to drive on the other side, and they usually had left-hand drive trucks. Or right, it doesn't matter.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, you jump into a completely strange truck, and driving on the other side, and it's a mad rush, so you have to push it really hard. Yeah. Lots of damages. First, second, but you got the tension, you got the good stress. It's really nice to work in a massive team like that, and it's an important movement, and it's nice.
Yeah, I guess it's quite exhilarating. Like if you don't get it there, they can't. I mean, how far in advance of? So was it? I'm guessing it was Formula One. So the weekend starts. They start doing practices at the Thursday or the Friday. How long before that practice day does the convoy arrive at the circuit? Is it like literally the day before, or are they there a week before, or what's the sort of turnaround time?
Yeah. Basically, we had to fly out a day earlier because as the drivers, we have to have a rest day before drive. You can't put the driver on, before they were flying and doing the transfers and everything. So we've always been put in a hotel for rest. And we are arriving to the circuit usually. So the Monday very early morning, they finish the race. Sunday evening, and then they do the rigging, loading the trailer, getting everything ready. So it was usually ready by Monday very early morning. We cannot drive more than 21 hours if it's a double drive. That's the legal limit. So in 21 hours, usually we reach the next destination.
Okay.
Basically, I would say Tuesday morning, we've been by the circuit, and we just dropped the trucks, keys hanging up, and we went to the hotel again for rest, and then flying.
And then do you then fly home, or do you then fly home? So you literally are flown out to do one long shift, as it were, and then fly home again.
Yes.
Wow, that's
yes. But because it's like we had like 30, 40, 50. Once we had 70 drivers, and it's not very easy to book 70 tickets on the airplane. We usually had a day or two.
No.
A day or two just spend, in different parts of Europe, and it's really fun. And this you still get paid, doing nothing, just waiting for the transfer home.
Yeah. It's I guess it's quite good fun. Like I don't do too much traveling for work. I could talk to people remotely. There's a very limited amount of time that I've never really had to fly anywhere for a contract or anything. So, but it always looks really it looks fun. I don't think it'd be as fun. I think if you did it all the time, they would it. Like if you're in airports the whole time, I think it would get a little bit. I think I was scrolling through Instagram. It was like another hotel, another airport, another day sort of thing. So it can get a little bit boring, I guess, after a while. So are you still doing Formula One, or is that something that I know it's the end of the season now? Is the season ended? I don't know. I don't follow Formula One, but are you still doing it, or is it kind of you still doing Formula One, or is that kind of ended now?
Yeah, this year I was working for Formula One management itself, not for the teams, which is a kind of upgrade.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I'm not sure if they're still gonna have the contract next year. If they do, yes, I want to do that. Want to do it again. If not, if I can't do the Formula One management itself, I'm going to do the teams again probably this year. But next year. But I would prefer the Formula One management. They got more time, more money. They got nicer hotels. You fly on a private jet, and it's just nice.
Oh wow! Okay, that's next level. That is. What are you? What's the difference? I mean, obviously you're moving stuff from circuit to circuit. Is it different? What are you moving? Is it kind of all the cameras and like all the technical stuff, or what is it that's actually moving?
Yeah, I hope I'm not gonna get in trouble to say it. It's like broadcasting equipment.
I was gonna say, is it mostly that stuff? Obviously, if you're doing stuff for the teams, you're moving. I'm guessing the actual cars, aren't you? And obviously all the
whatever.
Yeah. You're in the entire kind of workshop goes with it, but I guess for working for management, it's more broadcasting equipment. I think that's pretty obvious. I don't think you're going to get in trouble for saying that.
Hopefully.
I don't think.
Because when you're doing the job, actually, you're not allowed to put anything on social media. Not the location, not the load, not the trucks, not the reg, nothing. Basically, it's a full ban.
That makes sense, because obviously there's an awful lot of money in Formula One. They don't want, I guess, people targeting or like security risks and stuff. So I can sort of understand that. That does make sense. So how do you looking at your other customers? Obviously, you post a lot on your social media. You have your vlog as well. Do you get permission from your customers to kind of film and show that sort of stuff, or do you just do it? Is there sort of rules around that?
If we're editing the videos, we try not to put the company name on, not to publish who's the company. I'm doing videos on customer side, but I'm not publishing who they are and what's the name and what's the location. Yeah.
Okay. So I was watching one. I watched one of your vlogs before today, and I think it was for Greenhall. You obviously had that was obviously published and stuff. Did you get permission from the company, or?
Yeah, definitely. If it's you mean not the customers, but the transport companies.
Yeah, or whatever, depending on who you're working for, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, if the company name is on, I'm always asking if what's the media policy of theirs. So it's always clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Are companies generally happy for you to do that, or are they a bit more kind of like, oh, don't know?
They usually are. They usually are. They usually say if it's like a positive approach, then yes, they're more than happy with that.
Yeah, I guess, and I guess they do a little bit of research. They watch your channel and find you and go, yeah, you're a very positive person about this sort of stuff. And I was very impressed with. It was almost quite calming to watch your videos. I was like, this is relaxing to watch. I'm not getting stressed out, because you watch some sort of like vlogs on it, and it's like just some dude talking into the camera the entire time, and I'm just like, I get a lot of like nice scenery stuff that you do, and like not a huge amount of you talking about stuff. It's like, it's quite nice and relaxing. Yeah, I enjoy that.
And the other thing nowadays, I think video makers trying to dramatize everything, like everything is like a massive drama, because that's draw more attention from people, but I don't really like to do that.
Well, I don't think it has to be like, especially as a woman in transport, you have a certain. I think everyone in transport has a certain responsibility, but I think women especially is, as we kind of go back to how you initially decided to get into driving was a positive experience with another female driver. You have a responsibility to not make it. You want to make the industry positive. You want to make it look like a place you want to work, because like there is a driver shortage. There is not enough drivers, and the drivers we do have are getting older and nearing retirement and are wanting to move on. We need to attract the next generation, and you need to make it a positive place to come and work. And every influencer, every vlogger, every social media channel, every podcast has got to come across as a this is a place you actually would want to come and work, because as in, would you have come and become a HGV driver had you not had that positive experience with another female driver? Possibly, but I guess that was you, as you said, you literally signed up for your license on the same day as having that happen. It was such a profound, immediate thing that happened that I think you have that responsibility. And I guess so do I, kind of doing this podcast and stuff. So I guess kind of coming to the end of this now, what's something you wish you'd known if you were going to go and do a talk to people thinking about becoming a driver, if you were going to sort of say something to either you when you were learning or someone who is learning now, what would you say to that person?
The main important thing is just always take the next step. Don't try to think ahead too much, because that's gonna scare you away.
Yeah, that can make sense. Yeah, just one step at a time.
Yes,
I think there's I use that with my team occasionally. Like we've got really lofty goals as a company. We want to kind of do some fantastic stuff, and everyone sort of sees that as the mountain. I'm like, that's fine. We need to set that goal as where we want to get to. You need to have a goal, but it all happens step by step.
If you would know in advance how much struggle is to learn everything, you would get scared away. But just don't think about that, because you can do one step at a time, and you're gonna end up learning most of the things. But it's like, as everybody's saying, every day you learn something new in driving. Yeah,
and I think as you've highlighted with your story, it's you pass your test, and then you go into the real world, and then you learn how to really do the job. And finding a company, like you said, with Stobart's, that is willing to invest in you and support you in training you to be a competent driver beyond a license, I think is really important. I think it's something that potentially some of the big companies, I'm not saying it works in every Stobart's depot in the country. I'm not saying it works in other big companies, but I think it's something that we should all businesses should strive to, is looking to support newly qualified drivers or inexperienced in that field of work. As you said, you were never shown how to line up a pin on a trailer. It's like, how can you know that unless you know that? So I think that support is really important. So kind of my final question is, where next? What you do? What does 2023 bring for you? Obviously, we're recording this between Christmas and New Year. What's next steps for Truckalina?
That's a good question. I'm quite impulsive. I don't really like to plan ahead, and I don't know. I would like to get more European work. I love driving in Europe and discover more of the European side of haulage. which might involve to move abroad for temporarily.
I guess you, as we were talking off air, you're saying your children are more grown up now, so you have less sort of dependence at home. So if you wanted to move abroad, it's easier now. I think that's an interesting kind of. Are you bored of the UK driving, or is it just that the lure of European driving is there?
Yes, I feel like I know everything. Not that's a really wrong thing to say, but yeah, I'm bored of UK work already. I need something more exciting.
Is that it? So I'm guessing if we look to is your motivation less around what you're moving and what you're driving? Is it more about exploring the countryside, the cities? Is that really what gets you excited?
Yes, I love traveling. I love to see different places, different people. It's just, it's really nice. It's a kind of job,
I guess, and
action and hobby.
A hobby all rolled into one. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there, because I think that's a really nice nice kind of ending of. It's nice to meet someone that sees this not just as a day job, but actually as their calling and as their passion. So that's fantastic, and it's a lovely way for me to end my 2022 kind of doing this recording with you. So thank you very much, Lina, for coming on. It's been a whirlwind journey from where you started to where you are and where you're going. For any of our listeners that want to go and check out some of Lina's recordings, she's on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn? I'm guessing you might be on LinkedIn, but Instagram and YouTube are the two channels that I think you're most on. Do you want to say your Instagram handle? I'm going to get it wrong if I try and say it.
I can't tell you. I don't know. I need to check my Instagram.
Okay. Well, we'll put the link to your handle in the description so people can find you. And as I say, you've got some really, really lovely videos on YouTube. So we'll definitely kind of link to your YouTube channel as well, because that was a very nice, relaxing thing to watch. So I think our audience would find it interesting to watch your experience as well. So is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Just that basically I started my social media on Facebook, and I've got 50k followers on Facebook. If you could mention that as well. I
can definitely mention your Facebook. I didn't know whether Instagram as well. I've kind of seen a lot of your stuff, so I will definitely put in a link to your Facebook as well. And talking about social media, obviously our channels, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, although we're not doing much on Twitter now. As usual, our listeners, if you're not already following us and engaging with our content, please do. We do share a lot of useful stuff there. We definitely kind of regram and like stuff from our guests as well. So if you want to find people like Lina, then please do obviously go and check it out. Other than that, thank you, Lina, for coming on. And I look forward to following your journey over the next 12 months and where you're going. And hopefully you can share some of the stuff about your Formula One kind of experiences, because that'd be interesting to kind of see what that's all about. So other than that, thank you, Lina, for coming. And I'll speak to you guys next week on The Morning Cuppa. Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me, Alan.
No worries. Big thank you to Lina for joining me this week, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Morning Cuppa podcast. If you liked this week's episode, be sure to go ahead and leave us a review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. That will help us get in front of even more transport professionals just like you. As always, I do love chatting to other transport professionals. So do go ahead and find me on LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm sure the links will be below somewhere. That's all for me. Once again, thanks for listening to the show. I've been Alan, and this has been the Morning Cuppa podcast.